Hi guys, my name is Chelsea and welcome back to my channel. For today's video, we're talking about my favorite horror. So I do want to preface this by saying that not everything is like horror. Some of these books are going to be more thriller, suspense, horror, scary, creepy vibes. But I did want to sort of make one video about them. So I have 10 books here that I want to talk about. Some of these are new favorites for this year and I'm very, very excited for them, as well as some of them being old favorites that I just wanted to share with you guys. So the first one I wanted to talk about, I feel like I just needed to get out of the way. That's why it's first. These are in no particular order. However, I love it. This was my very first Stephen King that I read in 8th grade when I was probably a little bit too young to actually read it. It is humongous. I did not read this edition specifically, but I think every single edition that I've seen is over 1,000 pages. And it's creepy, it's horror. I think most people know what this is about now, especially with the movies, but it is like a paranormal sci-fi creature that is mostly a clown that preys on children's fears, as well as the same children coming back as adults and trying to kill it. So we have dual timelines here that we go back and forth for, but as you get further to the end, those time periods get like closer and closer together in the structure of the novel, and I absolutely love it. I'm not going to say that there's not problematic elements in here, because there are. However, I don't know, I just have a lot of nostalgia for this book, especially because, like I said, I read it in 8th grade and it is super creepy. One of the creepiest books I've ever read, and I absolutely love it. The next one I have here is a new favorite, one of the most recent books I have finished, and that is obviously Horrid by Katrina Leno. This was our Owl Crate book for September, which is why I have the red flowers instead of the black flowers, although both covers are gorgeous. And I absolutely love this one. This one I do feel like is slightly less horror, maybe more gothic horror. It definitely gave me the creepy, spooky vibes and atmosphere that I was absolutely loving. And this one follows our main character of Jane as she moves back to Maine. She doesn't move back to Maine. She is moving to Maine with her mother. That is where her mother grew up. They were moving into her mother's old house after her father has passed away. So they're moving like cross country from California to Maine, and spooky things start to happen. It seems like her mother's hiding things from her. There are rooms in the house that like she's not really supposed to go into. I really, really enjoyed this one. It has that whole, is it paranormal? Is it not paranormal? And those are hit or miss with me. But I really, really loved the writing and the atmosphere in this one so much that I still don't quite know what to think about the ending, but like in a good way. I loved it. Speaking about, is it paranormal? Is it not paranormal? We have Home Before Dark by Riley Sager. This is the newest Riley Sager book, and this is my favorite one by him. I absolutely love this one. He does a lot of thrillers mostly, where we do get present day and then in the past, and this one, instead of having it strictly be like present and past, we have the present with Maggie, and then for the past we have a fictionalized, possibly, account of a ghost story that her father wrote about this house. So she's going back to this house after her father has died and he left her this house in his will, basically, and she wants to fix it up to sell it, but she's also very, very curious about, is this true? Is the story that he wrote about this house having ghosts in it actually true? And let me tell you, this thing had so many twists. Like, I could not predict basically anything because it was like twist after twist after twist, especially for the reveals at the end. And I absolutely loved it. It's another one of those ones that could have been hit or miss because of the fact that we have that element of, is it paranormal or is it not paranormal? And it fit together so beautifully. I know this is a thriller, and so it's sometimes hard to reread thrillers because you know the twists, but I really do think I want to reread this eventually and see how all of that fit together. The next one I have here is Something is Killing the Children by James Tynion IV. I don't actually have a physical copy of this one right now because I read it originally as an ARC, and I really do want to purchase this volume, but also the second volume comes out in December, and so I think I'm just sort of waiting to get closer to that date, and then I'll probably buy them both at the same time and like reread the first one to get to the second one. But this is a comic series, so the one that I read was a comic bind-up of, I believe, the first 5 issues, and oh, it's so good. The art style is a little bit sketchy for me, a little bit gritty, which I don't usually prefer, but I really do think it fits the story really, really well. In this one, we are following basically the town of Archer's Peak, where children have gone missing, and a mysterious woman arrives in the town who basically knows how to kill monsters, because it is being revealed that monsters are what's killing the children. This one had lots of blood and gore, and it ended on a cliffhanger where I'm like, I need to know where it's gonna go. But I really, really enjoy this one. Like I said, it does have lots of blood and gore though, so definitely keep that in mind. But the story was great. It is so creepy, and you know, things are killing children, so yes. The next one I have here is Rotten Ruin by Jonathan Mayberry. This is a young adult zombie book. I read the first 2 in this series. I have not finished the series yet. However, I absolutely loved the first 2. And again, I feel like zombies are horror. However, it's not like horror. It's more of like our main character of Benny and his friends trying to survive in a zombie apocalypse, but there are other elements of like friendship and family as well. The second book devastated me, which is the reason why I have not read the 3rd or 4th one yet. I had to take a break, and it's just been like years now. However, this is young adult, but it is a zombie book. There are gross zombie things going on. There are deaths. There's no pulling of punches in here, even though it is written for a younger audience than some of Jonathan Mayberry's other books, which I have not read, but I do know he has an adult zombie series as well. Then we have Battle Royale by Koshin Takami. This is another one that I read a few years ago. I really want to reread it again, but it's a little bit thick, and so I just haven't. This is a dystopian survival story. I know a lot of people have been comparing it to The Hunger Games because this one came out first, obviously. I do feel like there are some elements that are slightly similar in the fact that like children around high school age, and this one especially, do have to sort of survive each other trying to kill them. But I do think the vibes are very different when you consider The Hunger Games as a whole series compared to this one. This one is so dark and gritty. I do feel like, for me personally, we go through characters pretty quickly as like point of view characters. So sometimes I was a little confused as to like who was supposed to be who, because we would get introduced to them quite quickly. But overall, there's a reason for that, and it's not actually that hard to follow in general. There's a lot of blood and gore in here. Obviously, there's like kids killing kids. And like I said, I read this years ago, like when this edition first came out. So in 2014. So it's been like 6 years since I've read this, and I definitely do want to read it again. But this is going to be another one of those more fast-paced gore sort of books than like paranormal, spooky horror stuff, but I really, really love this one. The next one we have here is Anna Dressed in Blood by Kendara Blake. This is one that I read earlier this year. Really, really enjoyed. It is a YA paranormal. Our main character of Kaz has sort of taken over the ghost hunting business from his father after his father's death. Why are all of these ones basically kids having to deal with stuff after their father's death? I don't know. But he ends up moving to a new town with his mother because of Anna. He is basically like a ghost hunter, tries to deal with the ghosts to like re-kill them so they can move on. And Anna is our like poltergeist type of ghost in this area. I know the front says spellbinding and romantic, and it does have the spellbinding elements. It makes you definitely want to continue reading this throughout the book. And there's some romance stuff, but this is definitely a horror, paranormal, ghost, poltergeist story. There is gore in here. One thing that I did not like about it too much It killed the cat, just so you know. That is one of those things that I just can't deal with, but it was a very quick mention. You don't get to see a ton of it, so I'm willing to forgive that for myself because I really enjoyed this one. There is a sequel because it is a duology that I have not read yet, and I'm not quite sure where it's going to go after this because I did feel like this was actually a pretty good like standalone. But if you're looking for like paranormal, haunted, ghost, really creepy, bloody, gory stuff, this actually fits that bill. Then we have Shiver by Junji Ito. Basically, I could have picked any Junji Ito, but this is actually one of my personal favorites from him. Junji Ito is a horror manga author and illustrator, and he is some of the best that I personally have ever seen for horror manga. It gets me every time. This is a collection of his favorite short stories that he's done. There is a lot of body horror in this. It is very creepy. His art style, it just gets to me. It is, let me see if I can pull something up that's not like super crazy. Okay, this is one of the creepiest stories, and the art, yeah. I'm not gonna do too much of this because, yeah, if you are creeped out by like the visuals of horror stuff, this is definitely gonna do it. I know some books for horror, I don't feel the super creepy, spooky stuff as much, but when you get to see it as well, that's a whole other ball game. But I really enjoyed this. Like I said, these are some of his short stories because he does have like manga series and short stories, and this is one of my favorites. Then we have the Blackstone Chronicles by John Saul. This was originally published in a serialization, so short stories every so often, usually like once a month or so. I do believe there were 6 short stories total that make up this whole volume. This one is more mystery. Again, the question of is it paranormal or is it not paranormal throughout this whole thing is interesting, but it also has the mystery aspects. There are a lot of deaths in here, and it's all basically tied to an asylum that was in the town of Blackstone. Little pieces of like the past from the town end up on people's doorsteps, and usually if they end up with one of these trinkets, somebody dies. Yes, I read this again probably when I was a little too young for it, early high school, but I really enjoy it. I am able to reread this every few years and still enjoy the twists and turns that come especially in the later books. And yeah, really enjoy this. And then finally, I want to bring up The Secret Girl by C.M. Stunich. So, I know this cover doesn't really seem like it should be fitting in this horror, spooky type of video that I'm doing, but it does. This is a trilogy that I've only read the first book so far, but I really do want to get to more. That is a new adult or very old young adult series that is technically a bully romance, going to be reverse harem romance, but especially in this first volume, we definitely have those mystery suspense vibes. Basically, our main character has been accepted to an all-boys school, even though she is a girl, because her dad is like the new headmaster there, and she doesn't want to be singled out as the only female student, so she ends up dressing up as a boy to go to the school. And throughout the course of the book, we find out that they had tried to incorporate one other girl previously in the school. However, she was killed. I think in this book they do believe that the first and only other girl basically at the school committed suicide, but it turns into more of a murder investigation when people start coming after our other main character. So if you are, you know, triggered by any sort of like suicide talk, please be aware of that. It's not a true suicide, however, she was killed. And so we are now following our new character, and people are after her. There are other potential deaths in here. So even though the description on Goodreads says a lighthearted reverse harem high school bully romance novel with a mystery suspense twist, I don't see the lightheartedness as much, at least in this first book. I did read this last year, and so I really do want to read it again and continue on with the series. It ended on a huge cliffhanger, and I heard the second one did the same thing, which is why I waited until the third one was out, and now I haven't read them yet. I want to get to it. And yes, the cover is very pink, but it definitely fits those suspenseful, spooky, mystery vibes, and I want to read more in here, and I think more people should read it in general. Okay, that's everything I have for you here. I hope you guys liked this video. If you did, give it a thumbs up to let me know. If you want to leave me a comment and you're not sure what to leave me a little spooky emoji down below. Subscribe to this channel if you would like to see more videos. I do have videos up Mondays, Thursdays, and sometimes Saturdays, so I will see you then. Bye!